commissary is where all food trucks and food carts park when they're not in use. In addition to a parking space, a commissary offers inventory storage, garbage collection, and dishwashing stations, among other things. Most commissaries are located in industrial areas far from city centers or downtown areas because of cheaper real estate. So don't be too picky about finding the closest one to your intended area of business. By law, you must park your truck at a commissary. Even if you have a giant garage that can fit your truck and has all the facilities you need, you still need to register a commissary with the health department in order to get your permit approved. Also, do you really want your employees to know where you live?
Elmo knows where you live!
You should visit every commissary within a reasonable distance from where you plan to sell food and tour the space. If you carefully follow these guidelines, the first commissary you end up choosing will hopefully also be your last, although we weren't so fortunate. Number 1, indoor or outdoor. The only reasons to choose an outdoor commissary are cheaper rent, and if the indoor commissary doesn't allow you to cook on your truck, even if your city's laws allows you to. Outdoors means the truck sits outdoors, but all the facilities are indoors. The first 2 commissaries that we used were both indoors, but we left for various reasons, which I'll get into later. Indoor commissaries shield you, your employees, and your truck from the weather. This may not seem like a big deal, but when you're trying to clean the inside of a truck while it's a blistering 90 degrees or a freezing 20 degrees outside, you'll very quickly regret not paying the extra money to be indoors. Number 2, storage. You'll typically be offered a section inside a large walk-in fridge or freezer. Some commissaries let you rent as much space as you want, while others are more limited. You'll most likely have to buy large bins and put locks on them so people can't steal your stuff. However, if someone decides to take your entire bin, management won't really take responsibility. Nicer commissaries have individual lockers or cages for each person. Dry storage. It's much more plentiful than cold storage, and some commissaries won't even charge extra for more space. Again, cheaper commissaries may not have a clear separation between your stuff and someone else's, and they'll make it your responsibility to secure your belongings. Nicer places will have lockers or cages assigned to each person. Number 3, facilities. It's uncommon for commissaries, at least in New York, to have cooking equipment because it involves a whole different set of rules and regulations that most commissary owners don't want to deal with. If you're lucky enough to find a commissary with a kitchen, be prepared to pay a pretty penny to use it. They're typically rented in blocks of time, and reserving a space is either first come, first serve, or by seniority. A typical schedule would be something like 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 4 p.m. to 12 a.m., and 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. The better time slots are more expensive and are the hardest to get. Every truck should get its own electricity hookup. Ask if they have a backup generator, most likely not, and what happens if their electricity goes out for an extended period of time. Every commissary will tell you that their electricity never dies, but ask any food truck owner and you'll see that it's not an uncommon experience.
Ow, looks like the power's out again.
What are we, in Iraq? This happens entirely too often.
It's extremely rare that they'll compensate you for any spoiled food if that happens. If it's an outdoor commissary, try to find out what the maximum electric pull is, because in the winter, you'll want to run portable heaters inside the truck and you don't want to cause a short. But don't mention this to them.
That's classified.
No commissary owner wants to hear that you'll be running space heaters, since they eat up tons of electricity. Also, things like rice cookers and kettles use a lot of electric. How can trucks refill their water tanks? Are there enough hoses for all the different trucks there? Some commissaries will have propane on site and sell you propane tanks. This is extremely useful because otherwise you'll have to go daily to a Home Depot or other place that sells propane and pick it up yourself. Or you'll have to arrange delivery with a propane delivery service. In New York, propane delivery happens in the wee hours of the morning, typically starting at midnight and ending at around 6 or 7 a.m. Are there water drains underneath each parking spot for you to hose down the outside of your truck? Where can you dump liquids? Ask what the garbage pickup schedule is like, if you have to separate out paper and plastic, and where you should put garbage if the bins are full. Depending on the commissary, the garbage fee will either be included in the rent, or you'll have your own bin and pay by pickup. If you do any kind of frying, you'll need grease collection. This service should be free because grease collection companies make money off of your used oil. Unfortunately, a lot of these companies are unresponsive when it comes time for pickups. Although your commissary should be responsible for arranging the pickups, if the grease collection guy doesn't come, you may have to resort to hounding him yourself. Are there security cameras, burglar alarms, fire alarms, smoke detectors? Is at least one commissary employee present 24 hours a day?
Charles in charge of our rights and our rights. And I say, I want Charles in charge. Hey! Quiet down up there.
Most commissaries will only have utility sinks for you to wash your dishes. Check if there's running hot water. Depending on how many other trucks there are in your commissary, you may have to wait up to an hour sometimes to use the sink. Which brings me to my next point. Number 4, other trucks. Coexisting with other food trucks is inevitable. And let me save you the suspense, a lot of them are terrible. I can't really think of any advantage to being in a commissary with more trucks than fewer trucks. You'll have to wait longer to wash dishes, refill water, clean your truck, and so on. Everything will be dirtier.
Everything!
We once saw someone leave a piece of raw beef hanging over the edge of the dishwashing sink while the blood kept dripping onto the floor. And don't even get me started on the bathrooms. There'll be less storage space. Also, there's a higher chance of your stuff getting stolen or tampered with. Depending on the parking spot arrangement, you may get blocked in sometimes and have to wait for other truck owners to come and move their trucks. If the owner never comes, there's absolutely no way for you to leave. It happened to us before when we had to leave for a nighttime event and we were blocked in for over 2 hours. If there's a kitchen, there'll be much more competition to lock in a good time slot. There's a higher chance that other truck owners will try to poach your employees. If they see you're successful, they may try to steal your recipes as well. Number 5, hours of operation. Are you allowed to come and go at any time, or do you have to have a set schedule? In the beginning, you'll probably have a regular schedule focusing only on breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Once your operation is steady, you may start taking on catering gigs on the weekends or at night. In this case, find out if you need pre-approval from the commissary to come and go at different times for one-time catering or special events. Is the commissary open 24 hours a day? 7 days a week? Is it ever closed for holidays? Number 6, cleanliness. Being in a clean commissary may seem more of a luxury than a necessity, but beware. Commissaries are also inspected by the health department. If the health department finds several violations, they can shut down the entire place.
What is this?
It's food poisoning. I have it too. I did not sleep for 1 second last night, and I cracked the bottom of the toilet bowl.
Oh, God, don't say that.
One of the worst fears of any food truck or restaurant owner is a customer getting food poisoning. If the commissary is dirty, there's a higher chance that your ingredients will get contaminated by rodents. Your employees will also slowly adopt the bad habits that they see from other trucks at the commissary. Number 7, contract, legal issues, and insurance. A 1-month security deposit is pretty common, so for anything more than that, see what the norm is among other commissaries in your area. Should you sign a 1-year agreement or pay month to month? The pro of a 1-year or longer agreement is that the commissary can't legally raise the rent during that time. They may, however, raise the price of other things, such as storage and garbage. The con of a 1-year agreement is obviously that you will lose your security deposit if you terminate the contract early. Some commissaries will make up rules as they go along, even if they're not in the contract. One of our previous commissaries forced us to purchase all of our food from them, which they charged a premium for. At first, we refused because it wasn't stipulated anywhere in the contract, but they threatened to kick us out if we didn't give in to their demands.
You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me!
Our only recourse was to take them to court and sue, but only after getting kicked out and losing weeks of business until we found another commissary. They knew this, which is why they were able to get away with it. Luckily, we were able to find our current commissary in a few weeks' time and immediately left. Anything that the commissary owner or manager promises but is not written in the contract means jack squat. If it's important, make sure it's in writing. I highly suggest you go over the contract with a lawyer. You may be able to find free or low-cost legal services, as I mentioned at the end of chapter 10. It may be impossible to get accurate information, but find out if the commissary has the proper insurance in case there's like an injury, fire, or burglary. Number 8, pricing. The average indoor commissary in LA and New York City charge a little over $1,000 a month as of 2020. Obviously, if the facilities are nicer or closer to the city center or downtown, expect to pay more. If your truck is longer than other trucks, expect to pay more. If you need more storage space, expect to pay more. Utilities, garbage, basic storage are all generally included in the commissary's rent. Pricing for additional storage varies greatly because every commissary has different amounts of free space. As mentioned earlier, some commissaries may offer extra dry storage for free. Cold storage, however, always comes at a cost. The following are some very general monthly price ranges. You may be able to get lower rates if you lock in a multi-week or multi-month contract for storage. Renting time in the kitchen is either done by time blocks or by the hour. In major cities, it can range from $150 to $250 for an 8-hour time block, or $20 to $35 and rent it by the hour. If you want a prime time slot or you need equipment that's on high demand, expect to pay the higher rates. I've included a commissary checklist in the resources section. I'd suggest printing out a few copies and bringing them with you when you check out various commissaries. Take as many notes as you can. You can also see a sample of a checklist that I filled in so you can get an idea of what a completed one looks like. So commissary fees will vary greatly depending on where you live. So for an average commissary rent in a major city, I put it at $1,000 for the first month's rent and $1,000 for a security deposit, which brings it to $2,000. So our low end estimate is now $43,475 and our high end is $140,725.